Tickets are on sale now for the most prestigious national figure skating event, returning to St. Louis for the first time since 2006. The event crowns national champions in women's, men's, pairs, and ice dancing, and it'll be broadcast by NBC nationally and streamed live on Peacock. The weather is sponsored for you by the Woodlands of Arnold Senior Living.
Mostly sunny and hot with a high of 95 this afternoon, then mainly clear and warm with a low of 71 tonight, high 98 for tomorrow. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Heather Zaire on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's 86 degrees now in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
The Woodlands of Arnold campus offers skilled rehab, a beautiful assisted living community, and a secure memory care to keep your loved ones safe. Check us out at rspseniorliving.com. That's rspseniorliving.com.
This is the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX. Sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin comfort dealer. And by Anderson Hospital, a Newsweek World's Best Hospital. Now, the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
It's a big weekend in sports and a big weekend for the Cardinals. They will play in Milwaukee against the Brewers in a series that starts tonight. We got the pregame show right here on KMOX at 6:15. The first pitch at 7:20 this after an off day yesterday. Good to have you in with us on the Gashouse Gang today. And we've got Mike Claiborne, Matt Pauley, Chris Ranji. We will talk to John Rooney, the voice of the Cardinals. That'll be at 12:30. And fellas, let's go ahead and start with that because we're getting down to it toward the end of the season. And of course, mathematically, there is an opportunity for the Cardinals to do something here if they go on a bit of a winning streak. But I think we all know the reality of the situation. Playing in Milwaukee, a team that has just absolutely taken off in the last several weeks and firmly put themselves atop the wild card. And actually, I'll start with you, Matt. Having worked with the Brewers and having been a part of that organization and seeing where they are now, it's just, I know we talk about this a lot, but I cannot get over how incredible it is what they continue to do year in and year out.
Yeah, they've got really good people there in their front office, and they know all the tricks to making sure that they allow players to become the best version of themselves. And it's not even that they're developing a lot of players. You look at a lot of these guys on the roster, they go find them in other places and they bring them in and they make them better. So they're very good at identifying guys who either are almost finished products or something like that, and they go do it. We'll see what their Achilles heel has been in the playoffs. They just got swept by the Texas Rangers. They haven't been quite as sharp here over the last week and a half. But what they've done this year, and as they continue to have the best record in all of baseball, it's really impressive, and it's a credit to just how good they are at the way they do things.
And Claibs, you're in Milwaukee, so you're here for this series. What do you think the Cardinals can learn from them, if anything? Should they take much away from what the Brewers do?
Well, I think you have to, considering how good Milwaukee's been from start to finish and looking at how they develop players. I think Matt touched on something that's important. They found other guys in other organizations that they've been able to coach up and make them better. They're a very athletic team. They can do a lot of things. They run the bases. They throw to the right base. They're very fundamentally sound. And if you watch that enough, you say to yourself, why can't we be that? And so if nothing else, you take that away from it. But I think overall, this is a team that I never saw coming. I've said it countless times. I thought they would fight with Pittsburgh to see who was going to finish in last place. But, especially when they lose Willie Adames, they lose Devin Williams, they trade him. And if for some reason they move a guy before anybody else knew the guy couldn't play or wasn't going to be productive. And, it's real tribute and a tip of the cap to them and how they've done things. They teach guys how to pitch. That's something that we can't overlook. And whatever they're doing, we better try and get a heaping helping of it if we want to be able to compete with them and other teams in the division.
And if you don't mind me just adding on, they invested in, they got the technology, they got all the infrastructure that you need to allow players to become the best version of themselves. And that's something the Cardinals are trying to catch up on. And when we talk about, pitching labs and staff and technology and computers and, everything that goes along with it, the stuff that I think the Cardinals are doing better now since Chaim Bloom came in and since Rob Cerfolio came in, that's the stuff that the Brewers have already been doing.
Well, you know what, Matt? You're right. And we were the Milwaukee Brewers 20 years ago when we were the forerunners on how things work technology-wise. And we had this going and we had that going. The system caught up to us. And now we're trying to find our place in line to get back in it and be the Cardinals of yesteryear, because we were the gold standard. And we had the trophies and the players to prove it. And I think it's time that we get back in that line and try and find our spot.
How long should that take? If we're doing this on a reasonable timeline for the Cardinals to get the equipment they need, and then I know seeing results is different because it's going to take a while.
Yeah, but I don't know what a while looks like. I think they've already taken the steps, and I know people say, well, they're not spending any money on players. Yeah, right. They're not. They're investing in the process. And I think that when you go down to Florida this year for spring training, you'll see some of those improvements along the way. But I think the bottom line is, I say year and a half. I think by next season, toward the end of next season, we'll see legitimate improvement in just the overall approach. And so that says, provided we don't have a lockout in 27, I think the Cardinals can be more than competitors in 27. And the reason why I say that is we look at the schedule now and look at the season now, and we're 5 games out of a wild card spot this late in the year with a very short roster. It says a lot about the manager and the coaching staff and how they've been able to get guys this close with very little. So think about the fact that if you have those players or better players in this situation with the same mindset, who knows? You can slip up on anybody. And I'll give you a good example. The Milwaukee Brewers, nobody saw it coming. No one. And here they are, one of the best teams in baseball.
I do think the full impact of this can take a little while, though, because if you draft a kid that's 18, well, then it's already going to take them a little while to get to the big leagues. That might be a 4, 5, 6 year process. Well, now,
I think we're out of that business of getting high school guys. Let's go get some guys who have a proven stock.
The point I'm trying to make is that you now have all this technology that's in place that you're going to use these young players to help them move up forward. Whether you're drafting a college kid who's 22, well, then it's still going to take 2-3 years for them to get to the big leagues. Now these guys are going to be able to have the benefit of having the technology, having the infrastructure, having the instruction that wasn't there previously, allowing them to be a much better version of themselves when they get to the big leagues as compared to the same version of that guy that was drafted 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So what's this process? When is the entire big league roster going to be filled with guys who have been fully impacted by the changes that the Cardinals are making? I think that's hard to put a number on, but I think it starts right away. I think there's already an impact this year a little bit, and there's going to be more of an impact next year. And I think, Claibs, you're right on in terms of when this team might be able to compete at a higher level. But I don't think just say in 27, just because maybe they're doing that, I think there's still more impact coming behind that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think once they're whole, they can have this run for a few years once their system is in place. I think it's already been implemented. We've seen it on the lower level where they've made some changes going back to this past offseason. Larry Day is in charge of the farm system. Rob Cifolio is in charge of development, and they've already implemented certain things. They've moved certain people out. Russ Steinhorn, who was our hitting coordinator for the last few years, is no longer part of their organization. They want to go in a different direction, and they're looking for someone who has the same mindset as they do with regard to maybe how about get some guys with some slug, maybe some guys with a little bit more power, maybe some guys who can swing the bat in key situations without the onus of just saying, oh, here we go. So we've moved away from the contact guys. I think we're moving in a direction where let's turn it loose and see what happens. Now, with that, you're going to have a couple more strikeouts along the way, but I think you'll have better at-bats.
We see the comments and the text messages that come in during Gashouse Gang throughout the week, and people are very interested in what the Chaim Bloom regime is going to look like and how different it is going to be. I wonder what the continuity is going to be like, though, guys, because Yeah, I mean, there will be some changes. They've already done that in personnel. We've done it in philosophy at the minor league level, or at least starting to. But how different do you think people should expect this to look moving forward with him?
Well, I think you'll see some subtle changes. I don't know how much you're going to see. You're going to see a different looking roster, big league wise, next year. But I think the key is, what does the AA situation look like? What does the AAA situation look like? And the growth and development there. Again, most of the things that fans want to see, they're not able to see on a regular basis. They just see the St. Louis Cardinals in St. Louis. You should be thinking more about what the Cardinals look like in Springfield, in Memphis, and even Palm Beach, because that's where it's going to be. And those are the players I would be following more than I used to, because I think they're going to be the future. Now, with that said, not all of these guys will end up putting on the birds on the bat. Okay, you may use guys to make a deal to get someone who's closer to being ready, to get someone who can contribute to your team, that be at the Cardinals, more than some guy in AA. So while I say get to know him, don't fall in love with him.
Yeah, I hope at some point in time I get to get a really good understanding of what it's been like this year, where John Mozeliak was still in charge, but all of the people, not all of them, but most of the people below him were guys that came to get to work for Hein Bloom, the Rob Serfolios of the world. So the process has already started, because the infrastructure of the organization has already been filled out by Hein Bloom people. That's why I think when Rob Serfolio talks, you should really listen to the words coming out of his mouth, because I think those words are going to be very similar to what we hear from Hein Bloom. So it's Mo is still making the roster decisions on the major league roster. To Claves' point, he's right. The major league roster is going to start looking different. Clearly, there's going to be more of a focus on power pitching, strikeouts, power hitting, home runs. Those are things that the Cardinals haven't had a lot of here recently, that they're going to look for more of. But I to think that there's going to be some sort of light switch getting flipped and everything's going to look different because Hein Bloom's walking in the door, I would push back on that idea, just in the sense that Bloom's people are already in place.
And maybe the better question is, what does ownership do differently? Because this is a regime that's going to be operating under the same ownership, and they clearly recognized that the foundational structure of the organization needed some support, needed to be worked on, and they're moving in that direction. But is there a difference that you can see coming in the way they operate and support their baseball operations?
I think they've already shown that. I think that they've made the decision to reinvest into development. I think they made a decision to make sure we have the tools to grow. I don't know what else you're looking for from an ownership standpoint. Do you want them to be more vocal about what's going on? Do you want them to sign a free agent that can't help you? Do you want someone to come in and just be this rah-rah guy? So I'm not sure what ownership's supposed to look like, other than own and hire people to do their jobs.
Yeah, they have admitted it as much, that because they're making these changes, that they probably stuck with the old model too long. And by doing what they've done, there's an admission that there was a mistake made, and ownership, you put some blame there. I really push back hard. I can't tell you how often I get comments from people that say, oh, the DeWitts don't care. The DeWitts just are cashing paychecks, these sort of things. If the DeWitts didn't care, then they wouldn't be spending the money that they're spending to completely redo a spring training complex and put all the stuff that we've been talking about in. The Monforts in Colorado don't care. That's an owner that invests absolutely nothing into the team. So I understand the frustration of Cardinals fans when you don't see the major league roster getting better immediately. But if you're going to come at me and say that the DeWitts don't care, I can very easily say, yes, they do, because they are spending money in other areas. So does payroll need to go back up again? Yeah, it does. Absolutely. They cannot continue to sit with the payroll where it's at right now. Baseball has changed as well. The DeWitts might be pushed to a spot where they're a little bit more uncomfortable. I think they need to be more willing to take on some longer term contracts with guys who are in the prime of their careers. They seem to be okay giving the 3-year contract to the guy who's 32, but not giving the 8-year contract to the guy who's 26. And you're missing out on the best years of that guy. Yeah, there's a risk and there's a gamble that goes along that something could go bad to a contract like that. So I think we're in a period right now where the DeWitts are probably going through some self-assessment and saying, what do they need to be doing differently? But to say that they don't care and to say that they don't want to win and all those sort of things, I throw that out with the trash.
I would agree. And I think the challenge is finding that 26-year-old that you're probably going to have to develop within your own organization, because there aren't many 26-year-old free agents out there. But, when you find one, I'm not a big proponent of long-term deals of the 8, 9 year, because, after year 4, we're looking at each other and say, who thought this was a good idea? And I'll give you a good example. They signed Sonny Gray, and everybody thought that was a great idea until they realized in year 3 of his contract, he's making $35 million. So I think you have to be careful and cautious and make sure there are some opt-outs on both sides. And maybe that's a little bit different than what we've seen in the past. But, if you're done looking at a guy, then if you're going to move him, then there's a bonus if you move him. But if he wants to move, he can just walk away with nothing. So I think you have to find some middle ground. And maybe with the new CBA coming up, maybe you ought to do contracts a little differently. I love what some of the other sports are doing where they don't have the 8, 9, 10-year contracts. If you can max out at 5, that's great. If you can not have to do any deference on money, that's even better. But I think you have to be creative, and I think you have to be firm and not commit to a player just because of what he did, because we don't know what he's going to do.
Mike Claiborne, Matt Pauley, Chris Ranji on the Gashouse Gang, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com, also by Anderson Hospital. With you until 1 o'clock. John Rooney will be on the show at 12:30. If you have comments, questions, whatever, we are on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. You can watch the show by streaming it there, or you can leave a comment there or a question. You can also, if you want, send us a text at 314-436-7900. Voice messages directly to the Odyssey app as well. It's the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
Get this, 42% of baby boomers don't even know how much money they have in their nest egg. If you're not sure where you stand in terms of getting ready for retirement, you should be listening to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Saturday mornings at 10 or Sunday evenings at 6, right here on KMOX.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights. With thousands of 5-star reviews, you can trust us to bring happiness home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody. Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Land Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Land Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Land Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hey guys, it's Kevin Wheeler. Struggling with low energy, performance issues, or weight gain? Game Day Men's Health has you covered with testosterone therapy, ED treatments, and more, all in a relaxed environment that's like being in the man cave. At Game Day, you get a free testosterone test and consultation all in just an hour. Game Day is the premier men's health clinic with 3 area locations in Chesterfield, O'Fallon, Missouri, and Glen Carbon, Illinois. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com and get back to the top of your game with Game Day Men's Health.
Hey guys, Dave Glover here for the Dave Glover Show. So what is my show? My show is 4 different people living 4 different lives, all coming together every day between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. to talk about life, actual life, not so much headlines or did you see what Trump did today or XYZ. Never predictable because I never know what I'm going to talk about from one segment to the next. So it truly is unique and unpredictable. Join us.
104.1 FM, KMOX. You asked, we delivered. KMOX, now on FM. Crystal clear sound at 104.1 FM.
6:15 pregame for the Cardinals tonight. First pitch 7:20. They are in Milwaukee to take on the Brewers. First of 3, and it's right here on KMOX. Matt Pauley will have Redbird Rush Hour at 5 o'clock with Wheels, unless there's a change I was not told about. So you've got Redbird Rush Hour tonight. Plenty of Cardinals talk is coming up on KMOX and Cardinals programming. Guys, also it's a pretty big on the beach of a small coastal town. It's a pretty big football weekend. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs. We are the home of the Chiefs on KMOX, obviously. 97.1 FM will be airing the game against the Eagles. Super Bowl rematch coming up here, fellas, on Sunday.
I like it. You know what? One of the things about the NFL and college football is moving in that direction. They're putting the good teams against the good teams early in the year to create interest. Now, what that also says, we may be out of the era of an undefeated team. We haven't had an undefeated team in NFL over 50 years. But when you look at the other sports in college football, you don't see as many undefeated teams, but you can still win a national championship if you take a loss in September against a good team. So I like what the NFL is doing with regard to scheduling. The problem that, though, you have is a lot of these teams aren't really in what I call football shape. You look at how training camps work. There's not a lot of contact. There's more meetings and more walkthroughs. And that's all good and well for preparation. But at the end of the day, this is a physical, violent sport. And if you're not physically in that kind of shape, your risk of getting hurt, I think they really get higher. And, you know, you look at the injury list on Monday, you see a lot of good players that are already gone down because of the fact they're just not in football shape.
And just wait till they go to the 18-game schedule. There's going to be even less practice. Insane.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? So the players have to say, okay, you want to go 18 games? We need 4 more players on the roster. We need 5 more players on the roster because, you just can't do it. And I know college football is moving in that direction. With college football, they had they dress out 80 guys. Mm-hmm. Some of them can actually play. But I think that the Players Association has to step up and say 2 things. 1, we need more players. And B, we need to be playing on grass every Sunday.
Now, I was listening to the Dolphins, and the Dolphins really struggled in week 1. I was listening to their head coach, Mike McDaniel, talk. And he was talking a lot about, well, this is just week 1, and there's all this improvement to make. You would have thought the Dolphins they had no training camp and they had no preseason based off the words that were coming out of Mike McDaniel's mouth about, just the process. It was like the process was getting started right now in week number 1. And I think that's an issue right now. That the NFL doesn't have a lot of issues. It's obviously the best television product that exists out there. It's the most compelling thing out there. But when you have NFL head coaches that essentially view week number 1 as the start and preseason and training camp doesn't matter for anything, well then I think that could be a bit of a problem. And at some point it's going to start to bite teams because they're going to lose some games early in the season, and that's going to be what costs them a chance to be in the playoffs.
It's really unfortunate what they've done with adding the game. And I love the extra regular season. If I thought there was no greater risk of injury, I would love for them to go to 18 games, and they're going to do it, but I think it's going to result in a lot more of what we're talking about. And because there's going to be less practice. Yeah, I mean, you can't.
Well, but you know what? Here's what I would do on the practice front.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a rat's about exhibition games. What we're seeing more teams doing is having controlled scrimmages against other teams.
Yeah, the joint practices.
You probably get more out of that than the game that nobody goes to. You only play the ones for one series. Sometimes your starter doesn't even dress. I think you can set up a format and have the controlled practices and get more out of that than you do in a preseason game.
All right, Chiefs 0-1. Do they start the season 0-2?
Yeah,
Eagles are good. Yeah,
the Eagles are really good.
Yeah, I think they do. I haven't seen enough, and I think most people would say I haven't seen enough in the Chiefs. They knew what they needed to do in the offseason to improve themselves. I don't know if they've done that yet. I know the Eagles have made some adjustments, and I think the Eagles aren't the same Eagles they were last year. I start with the offensive line. They're really good, but they don't have Mekhi Becton playing right guard, who was, I thought, the difference maker up front. They have a couple other guys they're trying to weave in that area. But overall, they have the potential to be better. But I don't know if they're as good as they were when they ended the season last year.
All right. Eagles, Chiefs, it's happening on 97.1. Our sister station, 325, is the kickoff on Sunday. NFL is going, and it's week 2 now. We're already here, fellas. Matt Pauley, you will have Redbird Rush Hour at 5 o'clock, 6:15 pregame, first pitch 7:20. Cardinals and Brewers on KMOX. Thank you, Matt.
You bet.
That is Matt Pauley. Again, tune in 5 o'clock for Cardinals programming on KMOX. Mike Claiborne and Chris Ranji still here with you. When we come back, we're going to talk to the voice of the Cardinals. John Rooney joins us next on KMOX.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Oh boy, it's getting hot right now. It is, at the moment, 89 degrees. The AccuWeather Real Feel is 98. The high today will be 94. The weather is sponsored by the Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company, pennmutual.com/STL. At Penn Mutual, we believe life insurance is the central part of a sound financial plan and that it can make an enduring impact for generations to come. Talk to your independent advisor or go to pennmutual.com/STL. Penn Mutual, trusted for life.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They're in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times. We haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO.
or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now, 877-25rhino or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contracts. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay.
Visit mintmobile.com/radio. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Here's the tale of the daily med fill. Same old pharmacy, same old bill, but those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings wrangler rode in, cool as can be. Tap Good RX, saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. Deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang. That one little app does all the rest.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Check Good RX. Good RX is not insured.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Featured products are compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information.
Want a boost in and out of the bedroom? Hims has you covered. Introducing a new 2-in-1 approach to level up your game. Tadalafil for better bedroom performance and zinc for testosterone support. Put it all together and you've got what you need to turn things all the way up. Getting started is simple. Just go to hims.com/joy to start your free online visit. Through Hims, you can access ED treatments including pills, chews, and more. 100% online. No office visits, no pharmacy lines. Just fill out a simple intake form and a licensed medical provider will determine if treatment's right for you. If prescribed, it ships free and discreetly to your door. Find affordable treatment options at up to 95% less than brand names at hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy, HIMS.com/JOY.
The Chiefs, the Eagles, this Sunday. Pregame at 2, kickoff at 3:25.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
You can hear it all on 97.1 FM Talk.
Now, the John Rooney Conversation on KMOX, sponsored by Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. And if you're a Missourian, we're for you.
So JC hits that one on the ground. Fair. It gets past third down the left field line. So JC's going to make second. He was going to stop at first base, and he goes into second now with a leadoff double.
We've got Cardinals baseball tonight. It's on KMOX and the Odyssey app. If you have it, you need to download it. If you don't, 6:15 for the pregame show and a 7:20 first pitch. On the call will be that voice. That is John Rooney, who is with us now on the Gashouse Gang. Mike Claiborne, Chris Ranji with you this afternoon until 1 o'clock every weekday from 12 to 1. It's the Gashouse Gang. And Rooney, good to talk to you. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Ready to go back to work. Had the day to sleep yesterday, and that was about it. Getting to the hotel about 7 in the morning. But we have another trip like that when we get toward the last road trip. And the guys, I think, have reacted well to it. Strange game on Wednesday night. One that the Cardinals just couldn't get a big hit when they needed it to increase the lead in extra innings. And that one got away. But it was an interesting game. And I look forward to getting Brendan Donovan back into the lineup tonight.
That too, John, and we'll have Nolan Arenado back next week, hopefully. But leaving Seattle, I got the feeling that if they get into postseason, they could be a handful for some teams because they can pitch a little bit. They have plenty of punch in their lineup. And I think that they are a team that if you open up with them in the first round, you better be careful.
Well, especially with the firepower they have. The next home run by Josh Naylor will give them 6 batters with 20 or more home runs. So they're dangerous with any one swing of the bat. But we've known this about postseason play, and I think the Brewers have found that out in the past. you run into some good pitching and you get the best pitching from the opponent, that shuts down the good hitting. So we'll see how all that plays out. And talking about pitching, though, for Seattle, their bullpen gave up just one unearned run the whole 3-game series against the Cardinals, and they were really, really tough to deal with.
Mariners have that 6-game win streak going. They are tied with the Astros atop the West, identical records of 79 and 68. And the Cardinals are facing tonight, John, this Brewers team that's still, I think it stumps a lot of us, though maybe it shouldn't, because they continually find a way to be good. Even when you kind of think this is the year, they're no longer going to be good, but they've got the best record in baseball at the moment.
Well, they've gone out to get some athletic players, maybe names that you wouldn't know much about, but they have an athletic team. And yes, they still have Yelich. Woodruff is back. We're going to face him tomorrow. And they have, some guys, Churio, who is highly touted, coming to the major leagues. Terang is not a newcomer anymore. And they have Freely playing in the outfield, who's been there in the past. And they have William Contreras, Wilson's brother. So they have a pretty good group to build around, and they've added some very athletic players. And Claves, they found a way to come up with pitching, just like Priester tonight. Quinn Priester's 12-2, and nobody saw that coming.
Nobody. But items that really catches my eye is they don't have a lot of homegrown guys. They have a few, but they found guys that other teams either gave up on or used in a deal that they've been able to coach up and make them the player that they are. But I think you touch on something that's we overlook from time to time. They are athletic. They can do a lot of things. They run the base as well. They play good defense. They're not just a bunch of stiff robots going out there. They have a purpose, and they've succeeded so far. And I'm anxious to see them. I don't want to see too much of them, but I want to see them this weekend.
You're talking about Vaughn at first base, how he came from the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox didn't have a real need for him on a team that wasn't winning any games on the south side of Chicago. And look at what he's been able to contribute, where they're not even playing Hoskins at first base all the time. So they have found some players, given them a chance, and those players have come with them.
Yeah, this is a Brewers team that, again, playing very well. I wonder, at the big league level, guys, how much of what they do or the success that they're having is big league coaching as opposed to whatever they've done structurally at the minor league level. What do you think it is, John?
It's still players having to play, Chris. That's what it gets down to. If the player can be coached up all he wants, and we had a discussion on the bus about Ricky Horton was talking about he learned probably as much from other players that he was around on the teams than he did from coaches. The coaches are there to help put them in a position, guide them, and to give them the suggestions they need to implement certain things in their games. But the players have to perform. And these are players in Milwaukee who have taken advantage of that, just like Riley O'Brien has taken advantage of his opportunity with the Cardinals right now. Thomas Ajacey is taking advantage of an opportunity. He had a 4-hit game on Wednesday. Those are things that you have to look at, but you can coach all you want. If the player doesn't come through, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and you know Robin Ventura, really good ball player. You know him very well, John. And that was a guy who, he's not the only one, but he was somebody who used to routinely say to me that, look, if you don't show up ready to go, you've got to take, as a player, a lot of personal responsibility. That this isn't, coaching does matter, but if the player is not willing to come in, do the work, and work really hard, then none of that coaching matters.
And that just answers your question from a moment ago. That's exactly what it's all about. Players can be given a runway, but if they don't understand that they don't take advantage of that runway, then you're going to crash and burn at the end of it, at the end of the year, and there won't be one next year. There's still competition. There are plenty of players in the minor league system and others that Chaim Bloom may bring in that will challenge for positions and play and make up the roster for 2026. So the player does have to take care of himself. He has to prepare himself as best he can and implement that. And it's a results-driven business, guys. That's what it all comes down to. And the Cardinals, if they had taken advantage of, say, winning 2 or 3 games in Seattle, could have made things a lot more interesting in terms of a wild card. And now they're not that far out, but games are dwindling on the schedule, and you have so many teams above you that makes it very, very difficult to deal with. But we'll see how it all plays out. That's why we play the games.
John, you mentioned Riley O'Brien and the way he's been pitching, and Derek Gould wrote about this. I know that's not, we've all kind of been thinking about the idea of him potentially being a closer moving into next season. From what you've seen of him, is that a job he could do?
Maybe. We'll see how it all plays out when we get into spring training and what they want to do in setting up the bullpen and those roles late in games. It doesn't hurt the way he's performing in high leverage situations in late innings. He's showing that that's a possibility. But to be able to do that job at the big league level, and I still think you need more than 1 or 2 guys who can finish up a ball game. Jojo Romero is getting some of that experience, and I know that Swanson did that at AA. He had a save or 2 at AAA. He has that makeup and he has the stuff and swing and miss stuff where he has a chance to be a closer. But we'll see how all that goes as they compete for jobs when we get down to Jupiter.
I agree with you, John. I think right now we have 4 guys I'm looking for next year. Looking forward to seeing them in the pen. And you mentioned JoJo Swanson, Kyle Leahy, and Riley O'Brien. So now you have to go out and find 4 more guys, because the way the game works now, you can't pitch a guy every day, but you better have what I would call plan B in place to be able to come in for that next game. Or if the guy goes 2 days in a row, you're not going to use him 3 days. Those other guys have to be able to pick up that slack and give you a legitimate chance to win.
Yeah, and that's what we ran into in the series in Seattle, where guys have been used extensively to win the series against the Giants and take 2 out of 3 from them. And it just left a lot to be desired at the end of the bullpen with in terms of innings. Yet the Cardinals bullpen did a good enough job to keep them in the games.
Yeah.
So that's showing some promise there. But if Leahy is a starter next year, you have to find 5 guys, Claves. And
yeah, that's true.
Just not a burger joint down the street.
Slightly overpriced burger joint. Really good, though. John, we're talking about this bullpen and how good they've been, even after the trades, and we've discussed that maybe in terms of personnel could be even better than it was before. But how about the job that Oliver Marmol has done in managing that bullpen? It's like the number one thing I think people judge a manager on is their pitching changes and how they utilize a bullpen. Are they using the right guys in the right situations? I think it'd be really tough to argue that he hasn't done well in that area, don't you?
Well, of course he has. And that's by design. That goes back to spring training. And Claves, they count every pitch a pitcher throws, even when they're throwing to a catcher before all of the position players show up in February. And they monitor that. They are very aware. They get a guy up in the bullpen, chances are he's coming in the game because they're not going to waste those pitches out in the bullpen, the wear and tear on the arm. And that's something that Oliver Marmol, Dusty Blake, and Dean Kekeffer and all the people involved have done a really good job of keeping people healthy for the most part. Now, John King's been on the injured list for a couple of times, but they haven't been dinged by a lot of injuries in that bullpen. And I think that comes from solid bullpen management that started before the guys even showed up when pitchers and catchers reported in February.
Yeah, the commitment to detail is something that we don't pay enough attention to. They do, obviously, but I think that's one of the reasons why we've only had 1 pitcher. We haven't had any starters miss a start because of injury. We've had John King, as you mentioned, has had a back issue, but other than that, they have done a masterful job at managing the innings and the pitches that these pitchers are going through. And it's been a little bit of a challenge. I mean, there's some guys you wish you could go harder with, but you know what? They have their finger on the pulse of those guys. And I look at Matthew Liberatore, who's pitched almost 60 innings more than he pitched last year. And that's a lot. And, sometimes you get rewarded with that, and sometimes you see the wear and tear. But overall, I think they've done an incredible job.
Andre Palante will start tonight for the Cardinals against the Brewers. It will be in Milwaukee. It's one of 6 games the Cardinals have against the Brewers left. They've got these 3 in Milwaukee. Then next week, They will be here in St. Louis, and that's how the Cardinals are going to wrap up their home season. That 3-game series, the 19th, 20th, and 21st. In fact, we've got one more homestand of the season left. And of course, anything could happen here. The Cardinals 4 games out of a wild card spot. They could go on a run, but if they do not, one homestand left to go, fellas. So,
Chris, here's the thing. That schedule for the Cardinals is the toughest in Major League Baseball.
It is.
Starting on last Monday, it is the toughest. You got a team that's tied with Houston that the Cardinals lost 3 very close games to. The division-leading Milwaukee Brewers with 6. 3 more games against San Francisco, still contending for a wild card. And then Cincinnati's contending for that wild card as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cubs are a wild card right now. That's a tough schedule to deal with. And so far, even though I don't like the losses, I like the way the Cardinals have competed. They were in every ball game out in Seattle.
And they could. I mean, the teams that we're talking about, the Giants and the Reds, they play games, a lot of games against those 2 teams. If they were to go on a run, they could really make up some ground. And that is, it's an optimistic view, but, you've got those teams that you're facing. You could make up ground on both of them. So,
well, the way I see it, let's take care of tonight, Claves.
Yeah, let's just get one at a time, and then we'll worry about tomorrow when he gets here.
John Rooney, appreciate it. We'll be listening tonight.
Okay, take care.
6:15 pregame show tonight on KMOX with the first pitch at 7:20. John and Mike Claiborne will be on the call. Got a few more minutes here on the Gashouse Gang. Mike Claiborne and Chris Ranji, and the show is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com, also by Anderson Hospital.
We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance, and we're here for all of life's wins. Like when you get a new car, or new boat, or new driver, or when your son moves out, but your mom moves in, or you find out you're expecting again, or when one rental property turns into 2, then 20, or you realize they're all in Tornado Alley. Life is full of life events, so call your Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance agent or visit mofbinsurance.com to find an agent near you, and we'll make sure you have the right coverage for each of life's wins.
We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance, and we're for the people of Missouri, in good times and in bad. We're for Missouri families and Missouri communities. We're for giving back to those communities and lifting people up. And when Missouri weather rips through our state, we're for helping put back the pieces. We're for brighter days and new tomorrows. We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. And if you live in Missouri, we're for you.
Named one of Newsweek's world's best hospitals for 2025, Anderson Hospital is your hospital for life, delivering exceptional, compassionate care to families across the Metro East. From emergency services to specialized treatments, our dedicated team supports your health at every stage. Experience world-class care close to home. Discover the difference at andersonhospital.org.
Cardinal Cowboy here. After a coma, a miracle, and the fight of my life, I made it back to the games wearing my signature cowboy hat and jersey. Then came the baseball pants, the replica trophy, and the smiles and joy from the young fans. That's when the Cardinal Cowboy was born. Renner Garage Door knows how to bring joy too. With top brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster, and family service you can trust, get your free repair or replacement quote today. Forward and back. Giddy up!
R-E-N-N-E-R, R-E-N-N-E-R.
You know, despite what we hear in the news, the world isn't all bad.
That's right. A little kindness can go a long way, like holding the door open, sharing a compliment, or just being polite.
It doesn't cost a thing, but it can mean everything to someone else.
So let's all do our part, one small act at a time.
Because kindness is contagious.
The Chris and Amy Show, spreading kindness. In partnership with Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electrical.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars $500. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-810-3588. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-810-3588. 800-810-3588. 800-810-3588.
Hey, it's Tom Ackerman. Football is back, thank goodness. And Underdog is the best place to select entries and win money all season long. You can play right now in Missouri, and playing on Underdog is easy. Just choose whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more during football season. There is nothing better. Download the app today and sign up with promo code TOM. That's really important. Promo code TOM to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code TOM. Millions of fans have already won billions making plays on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Now back to the Gashouse Gang, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling and by Anderson Hospital on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Just a couple of minutes left with Mike Claiborne, Chris Ranji on the Gashouse Gang today. Then it's the Dave Glover Show coming up at 1 o'clock. And Claibs, a big football weekend, as we mentioned. Mizzou is in the top 25 after a big win last week in that border war against KU. The Fighting Illini, they're in the top 10. They're number 9. But how about Mizzou cracking the top 25?
Yeah, that's good because I think you have to be in a position to gradually climb the ladder to be in the postseason playoffs. They have some work to do. Louisiana is a team that you bought, so you should beat them. And then it gets a little tougher. You have South Carolina down the road. You have some other teams. You don't leave the state until, October. So this is a good time to see who they have and who they are. The quarterback situation has been decided with the loss of the quarterback who blew out his knee. So, I'm looking forward to this one. This should be a good one. And I think when you look at Illinois, they've really built a really solid program. So to have two teams in the area that are nationally ranked at this point, I think is a good thing. And I'll certainly be trying to keep an ear to it, if not watching it when it's available to me.
Yeah, you mentioned Mizzou is playing against Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns. That'll be the game. And then Western Michigan has the Fighting Illini tomorrow. So it'll be a fun football day tomorrow.
Blood donor weekend.
The blood donor weekend.
Everybody plays. Right. Everybody plays this weekend.
That's good. Well, I had a buddy who played college basketball, and he said he was in the 30-30 club. And that was
if you were up by 30, you could play?
Yeah, if you're up or down by 30 with 30 seconds left, you got in the game. So he called it the 30-30, which is just absolutely fantastic. Mike Claiborne, looking forward to Cardinals baseball tonight. You're going to be on the pregame show and the call of the game. 6:15 is the pregame, and we've got a 7:20 first pitch. All right, so Cardinals going to go on a run here. How about let's maybe win 8 or 9 in a row?
I'm game for it. I want to see this thing come down to the wire. Nothing would be more important to go into Chicago that last weekend of the season with something to play for.
That wouldn't it be great? Just, be within a couple of games, see what happens.
Exactly.
All right, Claibs, love it. We'll talk to you next Friday. We'll be listening tonight.
Take care. Have a great weekend.
Mike Claiborne and Chris Ranji. Anything you missed from this Gashouse Gang show, you can find on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. It'll be there, or the podcast is on the Odyssey app. You can listen to it there or wherever you get your podcasts. Appreciate your time. Coming up next, it is the Dave Glover Show, but the Gashouse Gang will be back with you at 12 o'clock on Monday. It will be Tom Ackerman and me, Chris Ranji. Have a great rest of your day. This has been the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX.